Function and dump to manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret. Every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
All right, let's see if we can get this show on the road. Moving over to the normal chat in 3, 2, 1. All right, I hope I'm not chipmunking here because the audio is not going to kick in on a bit, and it's obviously been like 2 to 3 months, so I'm going to be a little bit about this. So bear with me because it's literally been so long. I missed this so much. Let's find out. All right. Perfect. Okay, the audio is great. Awesome. Oh, I'm already getting like Bibles and candles and stuff, so we already know how. It's funny because the new room that I'm at a friend's place, and they have like a red light, so I had to use this blue-white light to like counterbalance the lighting going on here. But hi, it's been a long time. Welcome to this channel. I guess because it's been so long, I should probably like reiterate who we are and all of that. My name is, well, people around here in the hacker scene know me as Sidepocket. I was one of the two co-founders of DCG 201, otherwise known as DEF CON 201, before we decided to change the names just to kind of be even with all the other groups coming out. Because at the time, DEF CON itself didn't care about the names, and then it kind of became confusing. So many different emojis going on. But anyhow, we are a computer hacker group that exists out in Jersey City, and I know it's almost been a year because I guess before I get to the rest of the spiel, I've had a bunch of stuff happen personally in my life. I've been really busy. A lot of good things have happened. I've had, unfortunately, a couple of setbacks in terms of putting the meetings back up. We would like get close to doing a venue and then it would fall through, and that's what's been going on. And right now I'm actually going to be pursuing a venue during the next 2 days that I think will actually do it. And my goal is to get the meetings resume in December and in person, and we'll live stream parts of them, but I want this back to be in person again. And then there's going to be some very interesting changes going forward that I'm really excited about. So, be ready for that. But I will announce that when that happens. If you want to know more about us, we do have a link tree, which I'm going to type in the chat because our website is all forms of fucked. So in the chat, it's a linktree, linktr.ee/defcon201. You can find all of us on there. We're unfortunately still on the X, aka Twitter platform, because we love playing the violin while this ship sinks. We're on Mastodon. We're on a bunch of different things, and we're also on a new thing that I'm going to kind of announce on here that we've been working on for the past like half of a month. In preparations to hopefully more live streams of Crypto Barons, return to Master of Unlocking, which I know a lot of people miss. I've been still doing a lot of lock stuff. I just haven't been live streaming. It's a combination of, like slight burnout and again, things going on in my life, moving and things like that. So yeah, you can go there and check out all of our links. Also, just to note that I know it's been a while, but, and we do, despite not live streaming for like months, we still have really good retention numbers for some reason. So all you people out there are patient. All you hacksaws out there are really patient. So like, congratulations on that. Thank you so much, especially during this like. Honestly, I think this DCG 201 has been struggling more like the past year in terms of just operational stuff than we did during the entire lockdown for COVID-19. So you can kind of see like all the crazy stuff there. But right now, and I'll mention why in a bit, we are streaming on only Twitch and YouTube, and then we're going to forward things to our alternative channels. Part of the reason why, and this is another big change, Restream that we normally use, that was awesome, changed all their terms. And trust me, we're going to get into the show, so just give me a second. I just want to get all this stuff out of the way. And so it used to be that under our paid account, we could do 5 different streams at the same time. Now they basically downgraded everything. So if you have like a free version, you can only stream 2 streams, and they put like a little like I don't even know where it is because I can't see in the video, but apparently they put a little like thingy to show that it's restream. But if we paid the price we used to pay a couple of months ago, we're only now able to stream to 3 different platforms simultaneously, and the one now that matched what our account used to be like has gone up astronomically. So I don't know how we're going to be doing multi-streams in the future. We might be building our own back end or something, but I'm going to kind of be using Restream a little bit, but we're going to figure out a new way to do all of this. So putting that out there. But if you are on Twitch or YouTube, make sure you like and follow us. In fact, if you do the little, and actually, here's the thing, even though I still super support all the Palestinian stuff, we're not going to be focusing on that today. I forgot to turn off the banners, and you'll be seeing me doing that. But by the way, again, support all the. There's been a ton of dead Israelites and a ton of way more dead Palestinians, and we're raising money for Doctors Without Borders to help all the people who are sick and injured during this, and now Lebanon, and it's just a fucking mess because corrupt governments like to make money. So that's what is going on there. But that's not what we're going to be kind of focusing on today. It's a little bit more spicy today. But again, if you're on Twitch, if you like and follow us live, we see the notification for it if you're new. Otherwise, follow us to get like when we stream again, you'll get the updates. And if you're on YouTube, because YouTube is still, after many, many years, a coded complete shit pile, make sure that when you do subscribe to our channel, which we can also see, that you hit that bell and turn all the notifications on, because otherwise you won't get daily shit when we start streaming. You'll find our episodes after we stream. So there's all of that. So anyhow, again, going through intros. Let's describe this live stream show. So for all of you who aren't familiar, this is Crypto Barons. I used to have 2 live stream shows, and this is one of them. And this show normally focuses on looking at blockchain and Web3 tech, like the actual tech, like looking at the code, running test nets, finding bugs, reading white papers, all that sort of stuff. And we're going to do a bit of that today. I'm going to save that all at the end. It's going to be kind of light, but it's going to be really fascinating because this is such a cool thing we're going to cover at the end that's a bit more technical. However, if you haven't noticed with the shirt, this was always a planned special that I knew I was going to do, watching how the year was going with blockchain and Web3 stuff and just seeing it like, if there's one thing I agree with this year out of the many things is that this year was the year where cryptocurrencies and blockchain, like this is that election year where like it's actually impacting stuff. Not like by the drip bear market stuff like policy changes and insane rug pulls and new coding platforms and advocacy and things like that. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on today is this upcoming U.S. election. Originally, this was going to be aired last week, but I had a whole schedule craziness. That's why we're doing it now, barely, because in a couple of minutes, it's going to be election day, but now it's supposed to be the day before election, but, craziness. I'm actually going to describe where I was earlier, because I'm going to save that to after we look at the code stuff. So, busyness. But we're doing it now. So, fuck it, we're doing it live. So, that's what this episode is going to be about today. It's a special episode, Crypto Barons, looking at how Web3 and blockchain stuff have recently impacted not just the elections, but the broad political spectrum. And I want to also get something out of the way here. Before I say this, even though I'm one of the co-founders of DCG 201, this is not the official stance of our group of what I'm about to say. It's my own personal opinion reflecting forward. Everyone of every political background except for Nazis, like actual Nazis, are welcomed in our group as long as they follow the constitutional stuff in the code of conduct, whether it's online or in-person meetings. So, whether, we've had like Republicans attend our meetings and they've been some of our best members, had a great time. Same thing with Democrats, US Libertarians, Green Parties, Communists, Anarchists. Again, the only problem has always been Nazis. That's literally the bipartisanness of all the hackers is like actual fucking Nazis. So just letting you know that what I'm about to say is not the official stance of DCG 201. We don't have one. We're pro-hackers. So like that's what we mainly focus on and technology. But I just want to put this out of the way just because I don't want to do an episode about the election and politics and be like, well, I'm going to try to be as politically neutral as possible because there's no fucking way to do that ever. If there was even a slight shit chance years ago, it doesn't exist now. So I just want to kind of lay out like my general personal political opinions just to get that out of the way. And then we can focus on like the actual stuff cryptos because I don't want to do this episode and just being like, hey, it seemed like you were biased towards this. I'm laying out all my biases here. We all have biases and we all have preferences. So I'm just putting mines out. So that way you might not be confused of what maybe like subconsciously I'm doing a tone or saying things. So just putting it out there. I haven't done early voting yet. I'm going to vote tomorrow because I've been having a couple of days off. I finally have a day off, and it's the election day, so I finally get to go out and vote. Like all the early voting process, which I think is great. The election day should really be a 2-day federal holiday. That's the reality of it. But I finally had time to do it, so I'm going to do it early in the morning tomorrow. I'm going to stand in a decent line in New Jersey, and throwing that out there, I'm a registered Democrat, and I'm going to be voting Harris Walz. That's it. You can disagree with stuff. Trust me, as someone who's particularly like very focused on the Israeli-Palestinian war, there are no winners here, and I've had both during the Biden administration and the run up to the election have huge. I'm very angry with Biden. He wasn't. That was like the anti-Trump pick for me, so I wasn't expecting much. And he was doing like, and then this happened. And I have lots of criticisms about Kamala. So don't think that because I'm voting for Kamala Waltz that like I'm like following the Kool-Aid and like, you know, that I have no like Kamala doesn't do anything wrong or no politician is perfect. This is just for me voting my best options for what I believe in my background. And again, I'm throwing that out there because I don't want to be like talking about Trump and then sounding like slightly more angry or like people being like, well, you're criticizing Trump a lot, but you barely criticize Harris. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to keep it even. It's going to be even more difficult because I'm going to also talk about what like the crypto community, particularly the Bitcoin community, is kind of like right now. But I want to basically put all of my biases out there so that you know that I'm trying to be partisan, but I'm also human and so my biases are probably going to leak through. So now that you know that, we can now focus on the actual episode. Okay? So I'm just throwing that out there. Registered Democrat, Biden Harris voter. She has a bunch of flaws, but compared to all the other candidates I saw, to me personally, she's my best pick. Overall, no matter who you vote for, I just encourage you to vote. Literally, the worst thing you can do is sit out. There's a lot of people who vote and don't do activism, and then people who do activism and never vote. In an actual political environment, you need both of these as a functional adult in order for society to exist. So please, if you've been protesting a lot of stuff, great, but this is the time to vote because this is where we get to shuffle people around. Okay? So now that I'm done rambling about that, let's get into the meat of the episode. So I had to get all that out of the way. So here we go again. Okay, so again, that's the link tree page if you pop. By the way, also, I love a lively chat. So in addition to liking and following and clicking that bell, make sure you're on subscribe for YouTube or following on Twitch. That I love a lively chat. I I like a really good troll. Every troll we've had on every live stream have been really fucking lame. It's like they're not even trying, or they're just bots. So all I'll say is that basically, if you have any questions, whether it's about where the fuck I've been, why am I wearing a vote shirt, why do I have facial hair now, why am I in like a weird version of hell? I'll give you a hint. I'm in the Bronx right now. Feel free to ask in chat, but if you just want to learn what the stuff that we're going to talk about today, well then keep lurking and keep learning. Just point out that. So again, this is kind of our link tree. We have a ton of stuff that we would normally live stream from, but we're going to upload later. We're on a ton of different social media platforms, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Threads. It's basically, if you can think of it, we're probably on there. And speaking of thinking it, we're on there. And some of these pages are not going to reload properly. Some of them I have to manually reload. And then some are just never going to load at all, so you're just going to see a peek of it. But the recent thing we've been doing for the past couple of weeks is, if I can get this to reload, we currently are on Farcaster. So if you've heard of Nostr, which I hope that the next episode we're going to be covering like blockchain with social media. That's the next episode I've been wanting to do for a while now. I'm going to freeze it here because otherwise it's going to crash. And you heard about Nostra, which is basically like the Bitcoin answer to decentralized Bitcoin answer to like X and the Twitter and Mastodon and Blue Sky and all of that. Farcaster and its client Warpcaster is like the Ethereum version of that. So we're going to put our link tree soon. There's the link of it in chat. It's at DCG201, like all of our new profiles, and it's right there. So I just thought I'd just throw that out there that we have one now, and hopefully we'll be covering that platform when I live stream this show again. And okay, I got the Crypto Barons logo. Awesome. So let's get into stuff. So I'm going to skip all of this to go to the first thing that I want to mention, and I'm going to repeat it again at the end. And that is, there is a local bar that I absolutely love that you probably may have heard of. They were recently in the news because they reached out to a ton of all the presidential and vice presidential candidates, and Trump responded, so he showed up to the place, and that is Pubkey. It's a nice. You can literally go there and use it as a dive bar because the bar culture in the front is very much a bar, and it's very much like, no offense, like kind of a hoity-toity, like Williamsburg, but a good future version type of way. Decent selection of beers, okay selection of alcohol if you can afford it, really good quality food. But in the back, and because of the owners, these are the Bitcoin maximalists. And I have criticisms about like the current Bitcoin culture stuff. You might hear that up, but overall, I think the people who run the bar themselves and the type of events they do, they're doing really cool, good stuff. They're really pushing their agenda out there of like all the different crazy ways you can do Bitcoin. I also love that they love to have fun. Like they if they can shove a mariachi band in an event like they did at their 2-year anniversary, they will absolutely fucking do it. It's absolutely great. So I encourage you to check them out if you're in New York City. And they've been doing a couple of events, and I just want to let you know some of the upcoming events, and then we're going to later on look at a video of an event they did. So the first thing is that tomorrow, or more accurately at 12:05 a.m. today at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., they're having their own election watch. So you can come in after you vote, drink and watch the results. And I guess depending on the results and who you're watching, you're going to probably end up drinking more. Or you might be celebrating your win and you'll be drinking more. But just note that they have a watch party on Election Day, which is November 5th, technically today, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. The bar is usually open till around 2 a.m. now, so even after 10 p.m., you could probably still drink there until they kick everyone out. Then a couple days later, on Thursday, they've had this long-running show that was on a bit of hiatus called Orange Pill, and it's more of like the community side of stuff. And they're going to be covering the post-election night and looking at like who won, and so what possible policies are going to come in from the winner. And the 3 guests they're going to have is Tyler Williams, who's the head of the legislation and regulatory affairs at Galaxy, who's their big guest for the Orange Pill stuff. Zach Shapiro, who from what I understand is not related to Ben Shapiro, thank fucking God, because I run into Zach like 2 times. He seems like a cool dude. Managing partner at Reigns LLP, and then Mike Sinich as the national strategist at Majority Strategy. So these 3, moderated by Alex Horn, who's also from Galaxy, are going to be talking about, as I said, that the most important election in history is finally over, and Bitcoin and crypto in general are featured. All the major candidates, which we're about to go into, had all sorts of shit, good and bad. And like, what does this mean now? So that's going to be the first of many, and that's going to be on Thursday, November 7th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And sometimes they start directly at 6:30. Usually they're a little late, kind of like us, but it's always a good time. And then the week after that, on November 20th, a Wednesday, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., they're going to do another post-election thing with their partnership with the Human Rights Foundation, which this is more like the activist area of how Bitcoin are empowering activists and key figures and people trying to like change the world for the better, and not in Elon Musk way, like actual results. And so they're going to be featuring, I'm going to fuck up his name, by the way, George Desserai, who's the president of the Economic Inclusion Group, which is, according to them, a policy group advocating economic and financial inclusion globally. He's going to be talking a lot about the right to banking and how this global election has impacted his home country in Venezuela and the human rights defenders there. So it's another post-election thing. And so that's kind of it for Pubkey, but just wanted to shout those out before we get into the meat of the stuff. And we are going to be looking at something they covered a little later, because I already said Trump visited the bar at one point. But we're going to be jumping around a little bit. So I think one of the oddest things that has formed out of this is the sheer amount of fucking meme coins. And, you know, my it was funny because someone last night at which is where I was at Crypto Mondays, um, asked about, I'm not going to say who it was, but he asked about the meme coin market because he's really big on it. You probably guess who it is when I'm talking about it. And the guy who, I've had difficult opinions with, but he is a very good investor person, actually nailed what I would have replied with, which is that the meme coins are fun. He has a bunch of interest in them, but he would never put his clients' money in investing in them because one, that's the whole point of a meme coin. They're more focused on the meme and the culture and the hype instead of making like a utility, like a coding thing or a tangible use case. And B is that a lot of these, or at least half of these, are rug pulls and are just capitalizing on hype. And because the election was a big hype cycle, we had a ton of them from all over the place, by the way. Even though I'm not going to show them here, there were like 3 Kamala Harris meme coins. So like I don't know what's going on with the Green Party or the Libertarian Party. But basically, if you were a candidate running, you had a meme coin this year. And of course, there was a lot for Trump because mistakenly, and I'm going to get into that, a lot of people think that Trump is going to be like the super pro crypto candidate. I actually beg to differ on that, and I'll talk about the nuance in a bit. But like, you have the MAGA meme coin here, these weird degenerate people trying to push this on Ethereum and Solana. No, no white paper, no GitHub or anything, just that. And then, provided my browser doesn't crash, I should probably actually just close this tab because I'm not going to look back at it. So this was stuck in limbo. I probably should have opened a Wayback Machine on this, but a really popular, and this was interesting because this was a meme coin that basically existed all the way back in like 2016 when Donald Trump got unfortunately elected, and it's been around, but it's had a huge boost since the 2024 elections, and that's the manga hat. So it's not even like Donald Trump; it's literally just tokenizing and NFTing his fucking hat. That's how crazy all of this is, we've gone from internet memes to like presidential candidates, and it reminds me of the whole Gene Bulger Simulacra and Simulation when he talks about religious icons, where like you have to have a connection toward a higher human concept because otherwise you just have an icon and a simulation of the icon until it's basically lost all meaning and is now part of the dashboard of your car, or simply as known as decay of meaning. So I can't get the website to load, but just trust me, it's weird. Do not sign up for the Telegram. You will get 5 billion messages a day. Just putting it out there. And I'm going to skip ahead to 2 other meme coins from a very failed candidate who honestly makes Trump sound sane by comparison. If there's someone who I actually like personally just despised overall this election, I've always had an issue with Jill Stein, so it's more of lasting issues. But in terms of someone just showing the fuck up out of nowhere and doing all this shit, this fucking guy. In fact, there was a period where, like, on my phone all the time, it was just Trump being an old man, rambling, forgetting about shit, and Biden being an old man, rambling and forgetting about shit, and RFK sounding like an old man and sounding like he's been gargling asphalt for 40 years, rambling about bullshit. And I swear to God, if you put all 3 of them at the same time, everyone's brains would melt from the stupidity. It was like the unofficial sequel to Grumpy Old Men 2 that we did not need. And honestly, I think the boost that you saw with Kamala Harris, It probably could have been anyone. It could have been even fucking Tim Pool for all I care. Just someone who was under 60 that could walk and breathe air and didn't sound like a geriatric patient. Instant breath of fresh air. I honestly think that whether she wins or loses, that the majority of the Harris vote is just people around my age, like older millennials, like the majority makeup of this country in terms of the population size. Just happy that, Kamala's like, she's 59, if I remember correctly. She's 1 year to being 60, but that's still miles younger than the three old fucks that I just mentioned. So I literally think that regardless of how she's going to turn out, a huge chunk of her numbers is just people like myself and younger who are like, cool, a candidate that is closer to our age, so it has more of an impact to us. And I'm hoping that maybe even though this is like a pipe dream because I live in the fucking United States, a shithole country, that I hope that the 28 election cycle will actually get like candidates who are in their 40s and possibly 50s because that's a huge chunk of everyone existing right now in America. It's fucking weird. Uh, I kind of feel like we're like Japan right now, where like all the 20 and 30-year-olds in Japan are just ruled by these like 80-year-old people, and it just drives me fucking crazy. To fuck Kamala, yeah, stupid kids that don't know shit. Again, Kamala's not perfect. I just said in the beginning about like my policy thing, because again, it's gonna leak through about how like I don't want Trump to win. And I actually very much in crypto don't want him to win. I'm like a huge outlier in that. And I will explain my personal opinion of that in a bit. I'm just going through of that, like just having the three old men. And let me get rid of the Tiltify. Was just driving me and I think everyone crazy. So it's just, and the stupid kids thing. Well, this is the thing is like, you talk about stupid kids, but I'm pretty sure if you bring up a bad policy that's happened the last 20 years, these are all established politicians and business people who are over 60 years old. Every single one of them was passed by that. So none of the like everything from the second Iraq war to all the business stuff that led to the economic crash and all of that, that was all old people. Yeah, there were probably young people who were like the monkeys in between and maybe one or two young entrepreneurs, but the main architects, executions, and the ones who profited from them were these old shits. So I don't want to hear about young people, especially because, again, I'm 37. I am turning into a middle-aged person as we are streaming the Theseus ship with my cells. So just keep that in mind right there because you keep saying young people and then you'll quickly realize, oh fuck, now I'm the old fart that I used to hate. So just be aware of that. Good comment though. Anyhow, so there were two meme coins on RFK, and the first one was called Bobby for All, and I kept this page up because I tried to load it. For some reason, it doesn't load normally anymore. I don't know if it's because it was a rug pull, because as you can look at their X, they have not updated in 8 million years. Their last update was June 10th publicly. And I don't know any other social media of them, so this probably was a rug pull for all I know. But this was like the first thing from fucking like RFK eating a bear and dumping it in fucking Central Park. I can't believe these are political candidates. Was putting out there. And RFK was another one of those like pro crypto candidates. And in my opinion, from all the political parties, there's been a lot of I'm going to say to do this, and either it's all just say. We need to see if they actually will do this. I doubt it because between RFK and Trump and Kamala, their business, their actual practices of what they've done in other policies tells me they're not going to do anything. So yeah, it's a fucking mess like that. But this was the only reason we're looking at a Twitter page is because I can't get the main website to load properly for life. It literally loads like a bad Web.1 thing now. So maybe it was a rug pull. I have no idea. But there was a second meme coin that was simply just like President RFK. It was just RFK coin and more snazzier website. Just like what's always amazing about the meme coins is like how high in production values they are. despite like the weird sort of bullshit that they're kind of like putting on here. There we go. Everyone wants to do executive orders. Ever since Trump signed publicly 1 billion executive orders, everyone from Biden to everyone else just loves executive orders. We used to like not care about executive orders until that happens, and now everyone is just obsessed about executive orders, forgetting that we also have like a Supreme Court and a Congress, which is supposed to be what our government is, but you know, craziness. And we'll talk about that in a second. And the weird thing also about these meme coin markets is like, even if they're rug pulls, as you can see here with the manga coin thing, they do pretty good. They're shockingly balanced and stable. I would say they're more balanced and stable than any of the versions of Terra Luna that existed. More stable than Tron. It's fucking weird. It's almost like these political stable coins are more stable than the actual push forward stable coins in different countries. It's just fucking crazy. So that's kind of the meme coins out of the way. There was a lot of those, and again, there were like 2 or 3 for Kamala Harris. I was already having browser problems. So I didn't have time to load them up. Just know that they also existed for her. Basically, if you were a political candidate or a clothing item or whatever this year, you had a fucking meme coin based on you. It was like blood in the water and crazy. So let's get into some other things. Let's get into some more fun things. I would say before we go on to, I guess, the main things, because it's going to eat up most of our time, and then we're going to end the episode. I do want to mention 2, like, obviously scammy rug pulls, and I'm going to warn in advance. This is stuff that's based on Trump, and again, even though personally I fucking despise Trump, hence why I'm voting for Harrison Walsh, these are all either at best opportunistic fans, or at worst just fucking criminals. And even though honestly Trump to me encourages a lot of snake oil shit by just existing, neither of these, well, this thing I'm going to show has nothing to do with him. The other thing I'm going to show is quite a different story, but this one in particular, nothing to do directly with him that we know of, but this is very interesting because this is more of what this show is about, which is like code. So this is from Daniel Von Fang. We should follow his freaking, if you have an X or Twitter, I don't know if he has any alternative social media, but if you have a Twitter X, follow his account. It's at Daniel LVX. In fact, I'm going to not only post his account, but I'm going to post this thread in the chat so that people can follow along here. But this is crazy. I'm going to read the whole thing. Congratulations on this work. Bravo. I watched this get posted in real time and I was blown away. So basically, as he said, there was a sneaky scam coin that was pulling out tokens right out of people's wallets while simultaneously avoiding detection by scam coin detection services. And so, like, I don't know if I can load this in the browser because I don't know what X's policies are now, but I'm going to click on it. As he highlights, it's like sus much, where it's like you're looking through, we have the functions approved to the sender, token launch, and then you have the preview index. And why is there an entire different wallet URL instead of just like the normal variable pieces that you see? Yeah, he's going to break it down here, and I'm going to read this amazing breakdown, provided that fucking loads. Hold on, let me reload the page here. Because it's a whole thread. It's absolutely goddamn, it's like beautiful. This is like a work of art. Also, again, to remind, if you right now only streaming on Twitch and YouTube. If you're on Twitch, follow us. Usually hear the chime and cheer you on. Thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, definitely follow us, but also hit that bell and turn all the notifications on because YouTube is terrible and will not let you know if your favorite people live streaming unless that happens. In addition to letting people know that we still exist by following us, you will get notifications on both Twitch and YouTube when we live stream randomly like this. Just let you know. So I don't know what's going on, but for some reason I can't load this entire thread. I'm going to back up to an earlier version of the thread and see if I can load the whole thing. Although I wonder if this is like an X thing when you don't log in, because I didn't have enough time to log in. So I'm about to find out here if I can. Okay, let me do it. All right, I'm going to click on I'm going to click on their profile and see what pops up here, because I might have to like scroll down and dig. So just give it a moment. Here we go. All right, so let's see if we can find this here. Because this was posted October 31st. I'm going to click on it again, see if it loads up. No, it's just the individual thing. Hang on. We are going to find the thread of this. I think there's like an image for every single one of these things. Let's see if we can find out. Actually, you know what I need to do? I probably need to go into replies as well. Because he's replying to its own article. Ah, why are you doing this? Go away. Replies. They're doing. This is why I fucking hate X now. I know people who love Elon Musk, despite me despising him, and they even think he's run this entire site to the ground. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do some basic bitch Google here. I should have did this from the beginning. I wasn't thinking. Because I keep forgetting how much of a piece of shit X, aka Twitter, is now. Because, you know, Elon Musk likes dead naming things so much I have no problems dead naming him. So let's see. Got this. Let's see. Yeah, I want to let you know that like when you see a hacker do something cool and you think it's like an elite thing, it's like what you don't realize is that this is kind of what it looks like. It's just a lot of like copy pasta clicking and stuff like that. Sorry that this is so boring right now. Should have thought of this before. All right, here we go. Now everything should load up normally. Okay. Yep, here we go. All right, this is what I should have did from the beginning. So again, there was a scam coin that was taking its tokens directly out of the wallets while avoiding the detection. So as we said, we saw an entire. It's like, you know, that meme of, you know, cherry check your kid's candy. There could be the entire U.S. Constitution accidentally in there, or like the Mao Manifesto or something. It's like you open the candy and there's an entire fucking wallet in the code for no reason. So let's take a look at what the fuck happened here, because this is amazing work by Daniel Conf. So as it says with the alert here, scam alert. There is a $ Republican token contract on base. Contains a hidden code that bypasses token allowances. The contract can move Republican out of your wallet without permission. Sounds like Republicans with their taxes. Worst of all, it looks legit on DexScreener. So here's how he found out. So he said, first, if we look at the contract source, we see an innocuous looking launch code, but then it calls something with danger written all over it. But what does the assembly actually do? So as you can see here, it's like calling the assembly function to this long ass insane suspect URL. So let's first let me find the tab and let's find out what that's about. So the use of assembly language cloaks what's going on. I'm going to sneeze. As Daniel says here, this sets a disguised address into a mapping that corresponds to the address. Gives them a near infinite balance by secretly setting huge amounts, which is the core address, to their account balance while making no events. So basically they made a bunch of incognito assembly that looks like a hex line, and that all translates to this code, which is, you got the previous rug contract right here, and then when this address is used, it basically generates a huge ass number to move tokens out of. And so it looks just like a normal variable sign, but it's actually assembly that when your compiler reads it has another, they're basically disguising a line of the program that is the rug pull. But that doesn't explain stealing the tokens from holders' wallets. The transfer from function looks normal and legit. It transfers only funds that are approved. So how is the steal happening? So as he shows here, this function form is actually legit. All of this looks perfectly fine. We have the RC invalid responses if something bounces. We have the true sending for decrease and increase allowances, and then the whole header with the form up front. So what the What's all that movement back there? What's going on here? So as Daniel notes, well, let's take apart the attack transaction and steals back the tokens. We see a burn from bracket happening before the transfer form that steals the coins. So if we look back here, let's see. The address, the sender allows value. Maybe it was in the image that he tagged in it. Because he did say it looks actual legit. Yeah, it's in this image. So as you can see here, when you look at the contract flow, which is this address here, call receiver, has a stat call, and then there's a whole like burn command right here that once approved then does the whole transfer function right underneath your nose. So as it says, this burn looks sus. Oh, hi, it's our old friend, the same disguised contract address. Stripped of all obfuscation, this means that any call from the rug contract to the burn from creates an approval allowing the rugger to transfer from this account. So as you see here with this blown up piece of code here, so he sneaks in, that's the address account that's going to recall. And then if something approve, else spend allowed, that's why it looks legit. And then you have the whole sneaky assembly thing, and then it returns a message to the sender over here. So this is like a pretty clever piece of kit right here. And that's basically how it works. One set of hidden code to infinite money the project, and one set of hidden code to take money from users, so the price can only go up because people can't sell it. So it's always going to go to the moon, past Jupiter, into Alpha Centauri. Both operating on a brand with completely normal transfer and transfer code forms. So that is how that happened. And I was watching this go down in real time, and I was like, damn. Like, I had everything, all my notes on my episode, and this happened. I'm like, I have to fucking include these in my notes now. So congratulations to Daniel Von Farts. His X account is Daniel, DANIELVF. And I'm actually quickly check his account, see if he has any other social media. Because that was just like bravo right there. Yeah, he doesn't have anything else listed, so fortunately you're stuck with this. But like, that's really cool. So that was a legit rug pull that happened like during the election, trying to get people enticed with Republican the coin, building up on Republicans and their excitement for the election and their nominee Donald Trump, and then doing a rug pull that to because the whole point of the blockchain is supposed to be a public ledger. When you scan the public ledger, it looks completely legit, but the assembly code that's hidden in there is anything but. So bravo to Daniel for figuring that out. But there was also another more legit rug pull, and if I can reload the page because it's been really wonky now, I heard rumblings months ago that Trump Jr., his eldest son, wanted to set up a thing called World Liberty Financial as a crypto thing. And I got invited as one of the first 30 people to the Telegram for that. So I have been, you're not going to really see it on the, oh, my phone died. Let me go plug this in. Hang on a second, everybody. Was not paying it. I'm so excited talking to all of you guys out there that I did not check my phone, see if it will still charge. Don't worry, we only have like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes left in the episode. I was one of the first 30 people to be invited to their Telegram. I'm following it, they're being very vague, and they're putting in like employees. The one that sticks out to me is their main security guys, the same people that do the Glue blockchain protocol thing, which is another future platform that I want to cover on this show. And what was so weird about this whole World Liberty Financial was that how much they were using Trump as like addressing. So in all the ads for World Liberty Financial, Trump, and if we ever get this page to load, is like front and center of everything. He made this opening speech about this. That was a real speech that wasn't done by AI, at least as far as we know. And everyone was talking about Trump this, Trump that. His entire male family, including Barron, who just finally got his balls dropped, uh, are all people on the board staff and everything. The stupidest thing, if we ever get this page to load, and I apologize, this page doesn't load because, well, I'm going to get into why none of this works in a moment. It might be related to this, but what was I going with this? Yep, see, it died again. I'll reload. Instead of like a white paper, they have a gold paper because the Trumps are fucking obsessed with the color gold, hence all the gaudy gold shit around them in their private residencies and the poor thing they did to the Oval Office. Uh, I swear to God, they probably haven't disinfected the Oval Office that much since like as much as like when Bill Clinton was in office, I believe. Like it's just fucking terrible. Also, funny enough, both friends, both on Epstein's list. Trump and Bill Clinton, I want to clarify. Donald Trump. I don't know about any of his kids. Probably not. But here's the thing here. But if you read like the fine print in World Liberty Financial, it does all the legalese to like distance themselves from Trump, like clarifying that this is not a Donald Trump project, this is not part of his presidency, that even though he did a video for it, he doesn't acknowledge it as his, despite his kids being in it. He denies this being like a family business thing that they're doing. So it's kind of amazing how they're like, it's like Disney like slathering themselves with like Mickey Mouse, but then like in fine print just being like, oh, Mickey Mouse is not actually our mascot. It's like that sort of like weird trickery. And so you might be wondering if you were living under a rock, what is World Liberty Financial? And basically, for a while, to be honest, I don't even think the people who did it know what it was either because they kept it really fucking vague. But basically, and this is what makes me laugh, um, Trump was at the Bitcoin conference in 2024, the keynote, which to me is a big mistake. The whole point to me of the Satoshi Papers, which comes from the cypherpunk movement, is that we should be supporting ideas and not individuals. The individual can be corrupted, an individual can come go, they live and they die, but ideas are immortal essentially. And so we shouldn't be, we could reach out to Republicans and Democrats to like advocate for Bitcoin, but ultimately we shouldn't be featuring any single politician in this. And so it was incredibly frustrating to have like, it was like in levels. It's like there was like a group of Democrats that attended Bitcoin conference. They had like a little round table, and RFK was one of the speakers, and then Donald Trump. It wasn't that he was just speaking there; he was the fucking keynote. And it annoys the shit out of me because one, now I have Ando Evans for this. That's all Bitcoin is known for now. Like now when people think of Bitcoin, even if they're Republican or they like Trump, they instantly think of him. And again, this is bad because Bitcoin should be an independent, like, cypherpunk, fuck money, fuck the establishment, we're doing our own thing. Instead, it basically, like with all the mining stuff going on, where now basically only corporations can successfully mine Bitcoin, have become the giant boot coat on neck corporate overlords that the paper was trying to distance itself from. Honestly, sometimes I feel like whoever, or if it's a group, the people who are Satoshi Nakamoto haven't come out, not because of like trying to keep the mystique or whatever. I honestly would not be surprised if they hated the way all the crypto and blockchain stuff has went since they published it and are like embarrassed and they're too afraid to come out. That's like my hunch based on hackers and seeing hacker projects come and go. And that's honestly what the Satoshi Bitcoin papers are. They are a proposed hacker project. The earliest people who were in this were legit computer hackers, mainly from the cypherpunk movements. So yes. But yeah, so get back on point. World Liberty Financial, which by the way, that name is like that's like if it's like if you were watching like a Marvel movie, you could see the words in gold with the eagle, World Liberty Financial, in the background for like a bank because they didn't get like the rights to put like Chase or Bank of America there or Capital One. That's what to me World Liberty Financial sounds like. It sounds like a fake banking firm or a liquidity firm in a movie than an actual goddamn thing. And they kept it so vague for a while. But basically, and this is what I meant about earlier, is that Trump, and this is one of the reasons I don't trust him with this, is been, again, Kamala's been really quiet. At best, she wants, from what I can tell, to talk to experts, of not just about Bitcoin and crypto, but just digital assets in general, things like microtransactions and video games and songs on Spotify, and then form of opinion. At worst, she's going to do a lighter version of what Biden did. And Biden, here's a positive thing to know. Biden was super anti-crypto, and Trump was also super anti-crypto until this year for his election. That's one of the reasons I don't trust him. One of the many reasons I don't trust him, particularly with Bitcoin, is because I feel like he's only doing Bitcoin just to get attention and do desperation. I don't think he actually believes in any of this stuff, especially again because I'll go probably into a bit based on his track record. But just note that regardless, in 2020 and in 2016, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and I almost said Joe Rogan, Joe Biden all fucking hated crypto and particularly Bitcoin. And now Trump is very publicly fondling the balls of Bitcoin, even if I don't think he actually cares. And Kamala is open to Bitcoin and crypto. So regardless, the two major candidates, never mind the Libertarian Greens or whatever, are way more pro crypto than the previous two elections. So just keep that in mind, by the way, overall. Again, will they fulfill any of their promises? Probably not because they're politicians, but that's the thing you have to look for. I actually have an argument. I'll get into this right now. We already went through a Trump presidency, so we already kind of know to some degree what a second term would look like. And Trump has a lot of issues of truly making campaign promises that he never filled. And then my go-to one was all the towns where he said he was going to bring their industry back. And despite him being president, having a Republican majority in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, our Congress, and had a conservative Supreme Court majority, he did not help. None of these towns got their businesses back. It wasn't like he even tried and failed or just paid lip service and ignored them. He just, as soon as he got elected, just dropped to these towns like a baby that was born on prom night. And that's just fucking sad. He did that to a lot of different things. So I would not be surprised if he's going to make we're going to make a United States hedge funds for Bitcoin, and I want the United States to be the center for crypto and Bitcoin, and then he gets in charge, and then maybe his kids might try to expand World Liberty Mutual to do some dumb White House stuff, but him himself, he's just going to be like, well, I talked about crypto, I don't remember saying any of that. If the rest of my cabinet wants to do that, that's up to them. That's their opinion. But I don't really have an opinion on this. Let's talk about dirty Mexicans. And that's what I feel like he's going to do because he did that during his presidency with everything else. I will say that for Kamala, again, the Biden presidency is horrible. But in my opinion, a lot of people don't know what the vice president is. And basically, they don't do shit. They don't. The first lady does more things for the political public than the vice president does. The biggest thing the vice president does is if for some reason when voting, if the Senate is deadlocked, they tie break it. That's their biggest thing. The origin of the vice presidency, and this is not a defense of Kamala, I'm just saying realistically, because she has terrible records with being overly policing and even somehow more anti-sex worker than Trump is, a bunch of shit. But that the vice president literally existed because for the first couple of presidencies, we did not have a vice president. And most of the presidencies were in their 20s and 30s. And because these were the fucking 1700s, all of our presidents kept dying in the year. If I remember correctly, I think there's one president that was literally president for 30 days and then he died. So they made the vice president is kind of like your organ donor relative. How in the British royal family, and one of the reasons that allegedly they have multiple kids is that so if their eldest kid gets sick and they need organ and blood transplants, that's what their younger siblings are for. That's what the vice president is for the president. So Mike Pence and Kamala, if Joe or Trump, which I'm shocked because of their age, they haven't died. Their literal existence is so that if Trump died, Pence can immediately be president with a peaceful transfer of power. Same thing with Joe Biden. He chokes on ice cream and dies. Kamala then, and it's a peaceful transfer instead of like the Senate arguing and having to do a mini election that wouldn't be democratic. That's literally what the vice president is for, which is why they have like barely any power in the political system. So I understand to some degree of people who, and trust me, we're gonna get back to the crypto stuff, they're like, I don't know Harris. Because I think the nuanced take of that is we don't know what she's like when she actually has power, especially with the power of the presidency. We know that with Trump, and he dropped the ball every chance he got. And Biden could barely roll the ball and then drop the ball through the basement when it came to the fucking Israeli Hamas conflict. But Kamala, we don't know. And in fact, she's already said and done stuff that completely contradicts to what Joe Biden had been pushing for all of his presidency. So we legit don't know. And that's kind of a fear in itself of like, oh God, we could find out and it might be really good or really awful. But just putting realistically out there. Let's go back to World Liberty Financial, the website I can't load, and explain why this whole thing sucked. Now, first of all, World Liberty, I wish we could go through the gold paper, but you know that it's bad when crypto orgs and people, and even people who are famous of doing rug pulls and snake oil stuff, said to avoid this thing. Huge fucking red flag. And basically, what they kind of, when you looked at what I'm going to call it WLFI was, it, again, they keep yammering about Bitcoin, but they basically wanted to make their own trading swapping platform like Uniswap or PancakeSwap is. Basically, they wanted to the pineapple pen it. They're like, I have a Coinbase, I have a Uniswap, and that's what WFL slathered in gold and pretend professionalism. They made their own coin called WLFL, which is like their stable. It's like the way the Uni token is for Uniswap, or you transfer anything to that token, and then that token can be exchanged for any others. So that's how the swapping happens. That's what WLFI was supposed to be. So here's Trump one yammering about Bitcoin and basically like pushes Bitcoin aside in order to do his like Bitcoin mining policy, things like that. And let me list all the dumb reasons why this thing fell apart as fast as they did. And actually, what I'll bring up is the article I have loaded next to it, which is that roughly a month later, as the headline says, Trump's crypto business had to slash fundraise goals by 90% after the lackluster sales. The original plan was to sell just 30 million of these fucking WLFI tokens instead of the revised. That's the revised plan. The original plan was 300 million. So like, again, the meme coins have reached and doubled and tripled their goal over Trump's actual fucking coin swapping platform. It's just fucking great businessman. So anyhow, let me just go over. There's a bunch of reasons why this failed, but let me go over the 5. First of all, for a platform where you're supposed to be like swapping, Bitcoin to this coin, or like Bitcoin to the WLFI to then like Ethereum or Solana or something, WLFI was not tradable or transferable. Yeah, if you got WLFI thinking you're going to do coin conversion, it cannot be transferred from one wallet to another. It just sits on your wallet as wasted space. So basically, all the investors can't sell the token to a non-accredited one because it's not accredited, nor can anyone outside the U.S. sell it to a U.S. resident. So the holders can't move the token at all. It literally just sits there as a fucking albatross for no reason. Also, the day when it came out, the website fucking crashed. So even though it only had a few hundred million tokens, the website could not even handle any amount of traffic. And right now, again, it's constantly crashing on my end. What was another one? There were also huge limits of who could purchase the fucking token. So when you go that's why I wanted to go to the website, because when you go to the website, the first thing they ask is if you leave in US, and there's a lot of places like you go to Binance, that's because Binance is fucking scummy, and they ask if you live in the US because they have a US site and an international site. But in addition to saying that, it also asks if you, and I quote, because I wrote this down, meet the requirements to be deemed an accredited investor. And they define it under the Regulation D under the Securities Act of 1933, or those live outside the US. So if you are not an actual accredited investor defined by the US Securities Act or live outside the US, you're not allowed to progress further on the website. The buyers were not allowed to get tokens until they did the first pass know your customers thing to verify their identity, because I guess like even like crypto people are treated like the way Trump treats illegals. And even if they were deemed and again, this is what I mean. Just as a reminder for like what the United States considers under the Securities Act an investor, you have to earn over $200,000 per year and have a net worth greater than 1 million, or you're a partner, executive officer, or director of a company in unregistered securities. This basically excludes this excludes a lot of businesses and like legit entrepreneurs in America. When I went to Crypto Mondays usually has like 40 to 80 people, and this was packed. So they had like 70, I want to say 60, 70 people. I would say probably out of that crowd, only 3 people in that crowd would qualify for this. And these are like major ass movers and shakers, like business wise in crypto. And they wouldn't be able to get on this, even though they're like the big names that are making money and doing smart investments and stuff. That's fucking insane. And the only way to do this, if you lived in America and you weren't a fucking Elon Musk billionaire, is to click I live outside the US, but then you have to prove proof that you reside outside the US, which to me just sounds like the ability to fake your ID eventually, and then it's even more of a scammy than it is, which is funny because something joke, border patrol, but whatever. So you have this hell where most of the people who would be interested in World Liberty Mutual weren't even like U.S. libertarians. They booed him at their conference. It would be business people who are also Trump supporters, which there are a ton of. My relatives, unfortunately, have to work with a bunch of them. They complain about it all the time. And so picture this. You have Trump. He's being promoted everywhere on this token, but because of how they define it with Regulation D under the Securities Act of 1993, basically all of the business Trump supporters who would be in on this could not get in on this because they're not accredited investors and they live in the United States and don't live outside the United States. So he literally like pushed his entire block out that would have flocked to this. And last but not least, again, I think if he had launched this like back in like 2020 when he first ran against Biden, he would have done a lot better because that would have been not only in the middle of the crypto craze, but the beginning of the end of the NFT craze. People are a lot more savvy. This is a post SBFs, post Sam Bankman-Fried, post CZ Binance, post Coinbase and Gemini being dragged over the coals like they should type of world. And so basically the understanding is that, that old phrase of it sounds good to be true, it probably is. If people think it's a crypto scam, even if it's not, they're going to treat it like it is. So even if for some reason it didn't have all these problems and wasn't like scummy as it is, especially to like the Bitcoin community that he pays lip for but doesn't like actually do anything with, which actually honestly puts him on the same track record with crypto as Kamala, who is basically very non-committal. People just think it's a grift. And what's crazy is they like Cointelegraph stuff has done like polls. People who think that World Liberty Financial is a grift don't even think of it's a grift because of Trump. They think it's a grift because they see that you buy tokens that you can't trade and that you have to be this weird category of an accredited investor and or be not a U.S. citizen, which is weird because Trump is obsessed with, and his family are obsessed with, who is he? like being a U.S. citizen, it's like we're for us, we're Americans, we get bonuses. You have to be a U.S. citizen, otherwise, fuck you. But his platform basically only caters to people who aren't U.S. citizens. It's so fucking weird. Uh, and so, like, just looking at that, that's why even like the rug pull people, even criminal cartels and stuff were like, avoid this fucking thing. It's just a fucking albatross. And again, based on how they've had to slash their figures, it shows. It's basically crypto truth social now. Kind of sad. Let me just check if there's any comments. I do again want to mention that if you liked all what you've heard so far, I know it's been a lot of hot political takes, but again, this is the election episode, so bear with me. Bear with me through bear market. If you're on Twitch, please follow us. I very much appreciate it if you do. It keeps the word out there that we're still doing this, and I'm trying to gradually return to doing the live streams now that I have more stable environment. And that if you're on YouTube, you can also follow us. Make sure you click that bell and turn the notification on because things are really stick with that. So I'm going to cover 3 last things, and we're going to truncate one just for time because honestly, we've kind of gone long enough. And we're going to leave the really cool thing for last. So the first thing I have to reload the pages for is a big thing that was constantly going on this year was this group that was formed mainly by Coinbase. And in fact, if I skip ahead, we can actually look at who is involved here under the partners page called standwithcrypto.org. And these are people, they're basically they're trying to be as bipartisan as possible. Their whole thing is letting you know who supports crypto and who doesn't, regardless of their political platform, and how you can support them and donate both fiat and crypto money to them. And it's backed up by a ton of major companies. The 2 core ones, even though it's trying to hide it by making the logos the same size, is this was basically a baby. It was like a baby between Coinbase and Third Web, 2 major institutions. But this also obviously attracted Gemini, Privy, Blockchain.com, a lot of like the Kraken, BTC, MoonPay, Galaxy, Hedra, OpenSea, Exodus. These are like a lot of the big fucking like big ass motherfuckers going on. And so Stand with Crypto, they did a lot of in-person events throughout their campaigning. In fact, they did this whole touring series that was called the Stand with Crypto Alliance and the American Crypto Tour of 2024. They did a bunch of really cool, like, so they had like things where they had like performers and stuff, like the Black Keys here, and they went to like Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit, Las Vegas, things like that. And then they also partnered up with other groups like Web3 Familia and Pubkey and stuff to do smaller events, including some small cities like New York City. And we're actually going to look at one of those in a moment, but I just want to kind of more detail of what Stand Crypto is. For some reason, this one's not zoomed. The goal of Stand Crypto Alliance is to mobilize 52 Americans, crypto owners, into one powerful force. They break it down to 52 million people, Americans own crypto. 87% believe the financial system needs update, and 45% won't back anti-crypto candidates. And they say like 9 to 10 Americans believe that the financial system is fucked, which is very true. And they're basically like the pro-crypto push here. They also broke down here that 18% of Republicans hold crypto, 22 Democrats hold crypto, and 22. That's the thing I think that shocks people the most is because you see most of the advertising mainly with Trump into thinking that you're thinking, oh, the Republicans like 1,000,000% gun ho on crypto, and like the Democrats are like sending out like fucking riot police wearing Chase Bank logos to beat the shit out of people. When the weird part is that even though there are a lot of Republicans, obviously, that are into crypto, equally more Democrats and more independents are more crypto than the Republicans by like 3 or 5 points. So chug on that for a bit. That's pretty crazy. In fact, I'm going to jump ahead and talk about that. One of the craziest things to have come out. Let's see if I can find this. And I'm actually going to reuse the knitter system here that I found fascinating is that there's a whole group of Democrats that are super into crypto, as the Stand with Crypto people have shown. and they formed a coalition, if it ever goddamn loads, called Crypto for Harris. And they have been very much on the campaign. Now, to be fair, and this is where it's a little scummy, right? Even though there are some people who are part of Harris's like potential cabinet campaign, and there's a lot of prominent Democrats in this. This is not a direct link to Harris. They're not directly linked to Harris herself, Tim Walz himself, or the Harris campaign directly, but they are a huge block of Democrats that would definitely lobby if she was in charge. And again, maybe she can be convinced of this stuff if she wins and be, have more of an opinion on this. So just putting that out there. Again, non-defensive of her. I'm just letting you know that if you're thinking that this is directly from the Harris Foundation stuff, it's not. And I wish they would advertise that up front because that's not helping her look or anything. In the same way, World Liberty Financial and all their scummy bullshit did not help Trump's look at all, especially for crypto people. But they did a whole thing. There was a whole live stream a couple of months back that they did where they had all the Democrats together. And this is a huge block. So I'm just letting you know, if you think for some reason that only Republicans are into crypto, no, honestly, even more Democrats are into crypto and especially Bitcoin than you think. And in fact, again, this sort of optics is affecting a lot of things because I'll put it this way. Thanks to the whole Bitcoin conference featuring Donald Trump, and even though I love Pubkey, the fact that he showed up to Pubkey and stuff, I was actually recently at a big ass art thing at Station 3, and they had some really predominant arts, and they were selling NFTs and in-person paintings for $2,000 to $4,000 a pop, on site, and people were buying them, and there was this whole thing, and every time Bitcoin was brought up, all the artists and the investors in those artists said the same thing, which is they didn't really want to go into it because they're left-leaning and they think the Bitcoin people are all hardcore Trumpers, which is the farthest from the truth. I do a lot of stuff in Bitcoin. I still find it very fascinating. I use it, and I'm basically what most people would call a soy bleeding heart liberal, apparently. And I have friends who are like that. There's a bunch of people at Pubkey who are like that. The owners are extremely politically neutral. So that's not true. But again, that OPSEC, particularly the big, Pubkey, they did that to advertise their bar. That's why I'm not upset, even though I was a little concerned. The linchpin was Trump being the keynote at the Bitcoin conference. It's the same thing when people had no opinion about crypto, and then Sam Bankman-Fried got arrested. Ever since he got arrested, when people think of crypto, even if it's a legit thing that's making money and causing positive change, they immediately think it's a scam. Why? Because the first thing they heard of crypto was SFB and all of his bullshit. And that's what's happening right now with Bitcoin in particular with Trump, is that when people now think of Bitcoin, they don't think, oh, the original decentralized money that's worth a lot. They think hardcore Trumpers, and it's gold just like him. It's not even my opinion. That's the vibe I've been getting from everyone else. It's been driving people who would honestly love to do ordinals, love to get involved in stuff in Bitcoin, just staying the fuck away. And that's a goddamn tragedy, especially when you know about the Satoshi Papers and the community and stuff where this cypherpunk thing came from. I feel like that a lot of the Bitcoin stuff now, whether they did it on purpose or not, whether they like to or not, has now become the Gen Xers, where the Gen Xers used to be yeah, we're young and we're rebels and our boomer parents are annoying and horrible and geriatric, fuck those guys. And now that they're in their 50s and 60s, they're even more hardcore right-wing than their boomer parents were. And so basically, as some of my Gen X friends have told me, their demographic basically became the same exact old-ass lame people that they hated growing up. And that's what I feel like Bitcoin. Bitcoin was about fuck banks, fuck institutions. We can run our own thing. We'll do our ebb and flow. We'll do positive change for the world. These fucking vulture capitalists, stay away. And when you look at Bitcoin, currently, in general, the majority of what you see is those same vulture capitalists that did the 2008 bank crisis that, are part of Merrill Lynch, are part of BlackRock, that are part of all these things. And instead of like pushing away like most Bitcoiners do, they're just accepting it because, they basically sold out. And again, I also want to clarify, it's not all of Bitcoin. Again, Pubkey is not like this. That's why I love going there. If you're in New York, you should check them out. Just saying the vibes that I've been getting from other people. Okay, I don't even think that's true because I'm super into Bitcoin and I love ordinals. I want to do an entire episode about them, but this is what's been going on. Anyhow, Stay with Crypto themselves is very politically neutral. And I'm going to try doing, because they have like a whole advocacy thing where you can make your own events and do a donor drive and stuff. They also list politicians and like where they stand on issues, and you can donate crypto to them directly. And what's really fucking cool, if I can get the page to reload, and then we're going to go to the last thing to talk about, which is going to be technical. Yay. Technical stuff's my favorite stuff. Is that starting now until the end, they're going to be doing election updates, but they're not going to be per se. So they have both Donald and Kamala, but they're also listing the House of Representatives, the Senate. They have a live map, and you'll be able to see in real time as candidates win or lose how much of our government is becoming pro or anti-crypto, and in where and in what parties, in what states and counties. So this is going to be very interesting, and I'll give you a hint about something. Bob Menendez, who's a fucking asshole, Cory Booker, who's our current guy, he's okay, and the guy who's going to replace the fucking asshole, Andrew Yang, who somehow is even more left than I am, are all pro-crypto. So if you're in New Jersey, you don't have to worry about shit. So anyone that we get in office in New Jersey, and also the Republican run, everyone in New Jersey, almost everyone is pro-crypto, and all the big candidates that are running are all pro-crypto. So funny enough, you're more in danger of running into an anti-crypto thing in the New York state and city elections than you are in the New Jersey state elections. Isn't that fucking crazy? So I'm not personally worried, but I'm just letting you know about that. And I want to do one last thing because of my phone before we move to the very final thing. So let's see if my phone is charged. Yep. I'm going to see if my browser doesn't crash and lets me sign into the website, because what's really cool also about this, and why is it not working, is that you can, I've done it on my phone where I've loaded it through a browser in my wallet, and it lets you sign in through your wallet. It does OKX, Coinbase, and a bunch of other wallets, including Wallet Connect. Yep, it just died again. But I know you can do it through the desktop. I'm gonna try to get the button to work, although I'm worried that it's not gonna work. I don't think it's gonna work. Fuck. Okay. And actually, I hate to do this. Nature calls. I'm gonna put a little bit of music on. Give me a minute. I'll be right back because I really have to pee. Okay? Love you guys. Make sure you, again, follow us on Twitch and YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, hit that bell. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. It sucks because that's like one of my favorite songs. Actually, I know exactly what that song is. But let's get back to the desktop mode here. Here we go. Hi, we're back. Sorry, I really just had to tinkle. So I do want to shout out one thing, and that I'm super truncating now, and then we're gonna go into our last thing here. And by the way, for all the people watching, I know this is probably like really boring or like annoying because you're hearing a lot about like politics and my politics in general, stuff that I've been like keeping inside because I try to be really neutral and stuff. But again, this is the election episode going to come out. I'm sorry, that's why I put all my biases out there. But again, like I said, even who I'm voting for, I have huge criticisms of them, like legit fucking problems and criticisms that even if they win, I'm going to have to like protest and campaign them through the next 4 years. And so just to know, no one's having fun right now. We're just trying to live our lives, and hopefully grocery prices will go down. So that's what we're trying to do here. But one thing I do want to shout out, and I said this before, is that I stand with crypto because we can't log in, unfortunately, due to like browser issues. But that what do you call it? Like I said, they've teamed up with a bunch of people, and they've also teamed up with Pubkey. And about like a week ago, they actually had a in-person election special at Pubkey. And I just want to jump around and play a couple of clips from that. You can find it on YouTube. I'm going to go back and put it in the show notes, but I just want to show a couple of clips from that thing. So here's some of the stuff that they sort of talked about at Stand with Crypto at Pubkey about a week or two ago. So here's some of like the kind of quick highlights here. Let's see if we can pick up on some stuff.
Like an amazing project, and thank you everyone here that's a part of it. And we are already winning
Bitcoin or crypto congresses ever. People who are really influenced by that. And that has a lot to do with the money that's being put forth by these PACs or political action committees that are helping to influence the election. So we're going to see probably in Congress people who are really fluent in like what the people in this room understand. Now when it comes to this election, on the presidential side, there's a lot at stake. And we were talking about it earlier about like a pregnancy. We're like 8 months through the pregnancy. We're about to figure out like, you know, who's going to be born. We know a baby's going to be born. We just don't know if it's going to be a boy with orange hair or a girl with dark hair. We just don't know what's going to happen. But we want to understand what that's going to mean. And for the first time, there's pressure on these candidates, right, to actually understand what this is all about and what their policy is going to be. And that's huge. You had the former President Trump here in this bar. I mean, so that shows you how there's connections with the top of the electorate in terms of understanding what the day-to-day issues are for people facing Bitcoin and crypto.
Beforehand in the spaces, I recently interviewed Vivek Ramaswamy and Wiley Nickel, two people obviously on totally different teams. You know, Wiley Nickel being a Democratic senator from Congressman from North Carolina, and Vivek an advisor to Trump, and they both said for the sake of the industry and for the importance of, you know, this moving forward in a way that where we can come up with a reasonable regulation around it, this needs to be bipartisan. So I think that there are people on both sides who really do not want to turn this into a wedge issue, a hot potato, and I think that that's something we should keep in mind. That's inspiring in a way.
I think specifically on the question of a divided government versus trifecta, I mean, the place to start is we have three branches of government. We have the legislature, which is supposed to be the most important, that makes the laws. We have the executive branch, which enforces the laws. And then we have the judicial branch. When there's a dispute about what the laws are, it draws those disputes and it decides under the US Constitution which laws are or are not permissible. Over time, since World War II, the executive branch, through what's called the administrative state or the agencies, has taken on a lot of the role that traditionally belonged to the legislative branch, right? So Congress will pass a law, it'll be hundreds of pages, but still it can't cover all of the edge cases. Congress is not, you know, despite they're great staffers, but they're not an expert on all of the areas they legislate, and so they've outsourced a lot of what do the laws actually mean to the executive branch agencies that create regulations that basically flesh out some of the laws. So all this to say, the White House matters for a ton. It really matters for two branches of government. The president gets to appoint federal judges. The courts are going to be an increasingly important, battlefield for crypto over the next probably couple decades. And then the administrative agencies. In the crypto space, you hear the term regulation by enforcement a lot. And what that means is rather than the executive branch agencies providing clear guidance about, for example, what the SEC thinks is or is not a security in the crypto space, we think these types of NFTs are securities, these types are not. Instead of doing that, it just brings cases, right? And it lets the courts decide. And so another thing you would get just by winning the White House is to be able to staff up the agencies, potentially with people who are not going to enact the same regulation by enforcement. I'm actually optimistic that either a Harris or a Trump administration would be better on that front than the current Biden administration. But then if you get a sweep or even close to a sweep, then you unlock the legislative branch, which is really ultimately at the end of the day, the ultimate prize here, at least in terms of regulatory clarity, is to get rules written for a 21st century world where Bitcoin and crypto exists that actually are meant to deal with the technology rather than taking laws from 50 years ago, 80 years ago, the founding, and trying to interpret it in the light of technology that people who wrote those laws could have never imagined.
That's fair. I think with Clyde's approach, what he said at least is they've hired more people to go through applications more quickly. He didn't get into the specifics of what it still costs or what the amount of paperwork is, and that can be cumbersome for a startup that's only working with a certain amount of capital. So that have bit licenses, that's a really good question, actually. I mean, you have Bitstamp, Coinbase, Gemini, Block. I'm probably missing a few. 12 sounds almost generous, to be honest. But yeah.
Only big players.
Only big players. And what's really interesting about this, if we look at the federal level, something interesting just happened with the Bank of New York. So we talked about SAB 121. Bank of New York got an exception to what the SEC is requiring them to do, meaning Bank of New York, Alexander Hamilton, oldest bank, largest custodial bank in the universe, is now going to be able to start custodying Bitcoin without this onerous concept of SAB 21 and having it on the balance sheet. The other interesting aspect about that is Bank of New York is a state, has a state charter, so it's a state bank here in New York. So a lot of people are now asking is Bank of New York going to even need to apply to a BIT license, or can they ask the Federal Reserve to just exempt them from that process because the Federal Reserve might come in? So there's a lot of, when you think about the BIT license, there's then the pressures of what do we have at the federal level. I think from one perspective or not, whether you're sort of on the states' rights things or the federal things, the really positive thing about something like FIT 21 is it establishes a federal framework so you don't have this disparity of state-by-state issues. And a lot of people get concerned about the preemption, but if we get the right kind of law at the federal level, some of these things can be smoothed out. Now, New York will probably fight that. They'll want to keep the BIT license, but it is something probably that's overdue.
So that is some of the talk that happens. It's like over an hour long. You can't find it on Pubkey's YouTube. One of the main partners of that whole event, Bitcoin Magazine, which is kind of like a semi-free magazine that you find often at Pubkey just lying around. They were the ones live streaming it. So if you look up, if you type in Stand with Crypto Bitcoin Magazine, or just Bitcoin Magazine and click their live tab on their YouTube, you'll be able to find that entire watch. And I don't know why it was recorded at the quality, both video and sound-wise, as a potato. For some reason, they had less production values than we did when recording that. I don't know if it was because like their black fiber line died or whatever, but you can watch it on there, and it's a really nice political insight of what, like a time capsule now of like before the main election of like what everyone felt and thought going into it, and then the events that I listed that are going to happen at Pubkey tomorrow on Thursday, and then next Wednesday is going to be all the fallout from it. So that should be fascinating. So I have one last thing to look at, and so I basically saved the best for last. Mostly a smooth ride, a couple of technical errors, but mostly smooth ride. This has been fun. But one of my favorite, let me go back to face mode real quick for this. One of my favorite websites and people is Molly X01, who made the infamous Web3 is going great website, and it's for me, it's the same thing as the Line Goes Up YouTube video, where honestly, I think especially if you are pro crypto and pro Bitcoin and Web3 and all that jazz, you need to watch Line Goes Up, and you need to constantly read Web3 is going great, because people who only, that's why I hate the whole like not gonna make it FOMO, FUD, and shit like that. People who don't listen to criticisms are just going to constantly repeat the same mistakes that everyone else has made. And as the old saying goes, if you can make people believe in absurdities like smelling their own farts constantly, like a lot of these people in investment and development do, you can make them believe in atrocities. See what Sam Bankman-Fried did in his business. So to me, constantly looking up the criticism so that you know what to fix and to make better is extremely important. And she had a very interesting side project that she debuted a couple of months ago. That's going to be the final thing that we're going to look at. And it is called followthecrypto.org. So this is an extremely cool website. I'm going to put the link in chat. It's also in the show notes for the YouTube version, and will be mirrored when we do PeerTube and Odyssey and stuff. But basically, and it's followthecrypto.org. So it's literally follow the crypto, like all one word, no spaces, .org, not .com, .org. And what this does is, like, if I say what crypto is looking at, like the voting aspect of the politicians, this is looking at where the money and the crypto is going. So it says here at the top, cryptocurrency-focused political action committees have raised more than 197 million to influence the 2024 elections. They have spent more currently. They have spent more than 133 million on it so far. And basically, it breaks down the super PACs who are into crypto, what they've raised, how they're raising it, what they're spending it, and who they're spending it on. And so you can see here, and I'm going to zoom in more, of like the top candidacies here. It's influenced by crypto money. So we have a Republican candidate, Bernie Moreno from Ohio. He's running for the Senate. His support for crypto has been over $40 million, and he's had over $71,000 in other support. You have Dan Helmer, a Democrat from Virginia, who's running the House District in 10. He's had over $3 million in crypto spent on him, and then over $6,000 for other support. So it really just breaks down, like, again, who these super PACs are, like Make America Great Again supports Donald Trump, S&P supports, so now you know what they all are, like Win State supports Democrat candidates. And then APAC is the Israel thing that, and this website really just breaks down who's doing what. So that's actually, since, we're 201, let's look at New Jersey here. So far New Jersey's had over $4,000 spent in crypto. The PACs have spent over $4,000 to influence our elections, probably because we're a solid blue state and we're not really a swing state here. And so far, it seems that Josh Gimher and Robert Menendez Jr., who are pro-crypto, have upcoming elections and are being donated to a lot by Fairshake. So that's a great example there. I don't know if anyone's active in chat, but if you want to pick a state for us to click on, we can do that right now. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds. So I want to pick a state to click on and see. Alaska has have over $1 million. Texas is over $2 million being spent on it. California over $17 million being spent by crypto super PACs. Two things. So again, this is a cool website because it's just, to me, like, Molly is like one of the true cypherpunks of crypto, and she's like, this is what you want to do, is watch the watchers. So it's like, what's going on with crypto here? Who's getting spent on what money? It's not just, oh, let's vote pro candidates. It's like, what's the actual details going on here? So I just randomly clicked on California. You can see over $17 million has been spent by it. Fairshake, the Democrat one, and Protect Progress have donated a ton of money. We have two Democrats here, and as I said, in their about, there's a disconnect and a reconnect. Sorry about that. The crypto industry has been throwing money into politics unlike ever before, and that's even after political donations from the industry skyrocketed in the 2022 election cycle, which was a big one as well. Despite the relative small size of the industry, it has become one of the biggest spenders of the upcoming elections in the United States. Crypto companies have raised hundreds of millions of dollars to put forward buying crypto-friendly politicians and ousting those who have spoken up for stricter regulations to protect consumers in an industry that is fraught with hacks, scams, and fraud. Links to Web3 is going great. Although parts of the industry have tried to portray this as a grassroots effort, the reality is a very small number of crypto companies, as we've seen with I Stand With Crypto. I mean, their main backers are Coinbase and the Web3 Foundation. Those are titanically huge. That's like being backed by like Google and Meta at the same time for some reason. The reality is that it's a very small number of crypto companies and the billionaire executive and vulture venture capitalists behind them spending millions of dollars in a single goal to obtain favorable crypto policy no matter what the cost. As Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, and Coinbase is one of the main people stay on crypto, says money moves the needle for better or for worse. That's how our system works. This website shines a much needed spotlight on the spending without the veneer of press releases in which these companies' executives still try to claim to be, quote, apolitical or nonpartisan. Most of the money in the war chest and mass by cryptocurrency focused packs have yet to be deployed. And this project will give you a real-time view in what is being spent by whom and for whom. Join and follow the crypto. All done by Molly White, aka Molly X01. Thank you for making this thing. Most of the data is coming from the Federal Election Commission. And some of the data about political advertisements come from Google's Ads Transparency Center, and that none of the data is coming from any sort of form of blockchain or blockchain group. Most election spending by the crypto industry is in dollars, and both crypto and dollar donation election spending are included in the FEC reporting. And what makes this really cool is it's not just a cool website. Molly has released the source code for the website. So she has both the front end and the back end for the websites. This is the Next.js application, mainly done in TypeScript with some sad CSS, stapling everything together and hopefully not sending data 20 million pixels to the right randomly for no reason. But, you know, it's just like your standard. You have your Jest config, your Next config, your package JSON, and your TS config here. I'm going to see if I can look at any of these without this exploding here. And then she also has uploaded the entire backend system. So this is the Python code that processes the data. And as we can see here, it's 100% Python. That just gave some programmers out there a giant stiffy. And so we see here we have the database py, candidate expenditures, image, trim. So basically the JSON is the thing that sorts and displays the data. We have it here with the package name, follow the crypto. We have our usual floating points for the UI, the interfaces for Next and React. Very tight scripting going on here, really nicely read. And then you have the Python, which is actually the thing that is parsing the data here. Let's see if we can. Let's just randomly look at the. Let's look at race summary. No, not. Let's look at the outside spending. Oh no, packs. Sorry. Let's look at packs, the super packs, the Python file that sorts all of their data. So you can see here it's importing from the logging, FCC fetch, pick, expenditure, race type. They made an e-fields for all this data, and then you have the split chunks array, the update candidate, spending database, pulls from the docs, which is from the outside data source, and categorizes it with ID chunks here. Let me see if I can zoom in even further. There we go, yeah. Lots of if-or statement results for depending on how the data is going to be parsed, and so it's sorted kind of like the way a mailroom works, and then it's execution at the end. So very typical Python code here, and again, when we flash back to the front end for the Node.js, if I can. Let's see here. Let's look at the source folder application thing, and then we'll end the episode. I will say, as this loads, overall, I had so much. I've been wanting to do this episode for a while. I really wish I could have did this last week, but I have been really fucking happy. Let's look at the data folder. I've also looked at libraries. I just had, states. Sorry, states. I've just had to see all the business. I've had a ton of fun covering this. I'm a very active political person. Even if I don't disagree with someone, I like picking their brain and understanding their point of view, and so things like that. So it was really fun in a productive way to talk about politics in a show that I love doing, Crypto Barons, and seeing both money and tech wise that this is literally going to be the election for crypto and blockchain. Hello, Kiri Bloodrose. You always show up when I'm about to sign off. I'm so sad, especially because it's already 1:28 in the morning and I really need to go to bed because I'm hoping at around 9 a.m. Well, technically today, but when the sun comes out, that I'm going to vote on election day just because I've been so busy. I can finally go and vote. And ultimately, no matter what your political position is, that's what I want you all to do. And I'm going to leave today with one very important URL, and that is simply vote.org. This has all the resources for voting. It tells you what your rights are. Never get out of line. Stay in line. No one should be able to intimidate you. If you are being intimidated, especially by a civilian, that's a national federal crime. So you can call police on. You can call federal police on them, the FBI, things like that. Has all the resources there. Breaks it down state by state. They have videos. Just learn your stuff. Go out and vote. The worst thing, like with hacking, you can make good code and bad code. And at least with bad code, now you know how not to make bad code, and then you can work on making good code. The worst thing you can do as a hacker is fucking nothing. So that's Crypto Barons. That's the special. It was so fun to come back and do live streaming. I really hope I can continue this in like the next. I'm probably going to take a week or two off again, but I want to come back and do these live streams in a more stable setting, even more than this, which I'm very happy for my friend for lending me this space just for today. And also hope to go back to doing Master of Unlocking again. Have so much lock stuff to show, and soon, hopefully in December finally, we're going to be back to the meetings in person and bits of it online, and I really can't wait. So again, thank you for watching. If you want to continue to support us and get those notifications when we finally come back on more regularly, right now we're streaming on Twitch and YouTube. If you can follow us both there, although on YouTube, make sure to click the bell and do the full follow because YouTube is a fucking idiot. And we're, again, on all sorts of social media. We have a blog on medium.com. Among other things, contact information. So I just posted the link tree again to go there. And yay, make sure you vote. Make sure every state now, not only do they have an I vote sticker, but now they're theming them to the states. So those have become collector's items. I can't wait to see what lame one New Jersey is. So, yep, remember 5th of November. We don't want to become British again, even though the Supreme Court basically has now said that all current presidents and past presidents and future presidents are God kings for some reason, which is pretty much why we had the American Revolutionary War in the first place, because of that stupidity. Anyhow, please go out and vote. Thank you for following here. If you're on YouTube, it's going to forward to the status quo live following of the election. So you'll probably be able to watch this live right now, and they're going to tally all the election results so you can watch the elections and bite your nails off in real time. If you're on Twitch, we're going to try to find something similar on Twitch. We're going to raid another channel. So just stay around for the next couple of minutes, and you will be forwarded to there. So again, thank you for watching. Hope you check out our link tree. Check us out on Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky, a bunch of different websites, including now Farcaster. And hope to see you live stream in the future. Hope to see you at a personal meeting. Hope you had a good day today. If today was your birthday, happy birthday. And yeah, go vote. If you're in the United States, go vote. If you're from another country, please cheer us on. I just hope that when we all wake up on Thursday morning, we still have a fucking country to some degree. Because we're already fucked as it is. I really don't want to start digging into the Earth's core at this point. Anyhow, that's it. I'm Sidepocket from DC201. Peace out. See you soon. Enjoy the music. Go vote. Peace. Hack the planet.
about feelings, emotions, and elections.